The galactic empire ruled the stars. Its laws were powerful and final. One rule stood above all others. Never step foot on planet 342X. The planet was also called the Silent World. No one talked about it. No one visited it. No maps showed its surface. Most citizens didn't even know where it was. The law was old, older than most of the Empire's history. It was written in red letters on the walls of every space academy. Do not enter planet 342X. No ships, no scans, no questions. But one alien asked questions. His name was Valak. He was young, curious, and smarter than most. He worked as a junior researcher in the Empire's science division. His job was to study dead planets, worlds with no life, no future, and no value. But Valak didn't care about dead rocks. He wanted to know about secrets. He first saw the name 342X on an old cargo log. The entry was strange. A fleet of ships had been near the planet, but the report ended in silence. No reason. No follow-up. Just vanished. Valak's hands trembled as he read more. Why is this planet forbidden? He asked his mentor. The older alien shook his head. We don't speak of that world. It's not our concern. But what happened there? Valak pressed. No more questions. The silence made Valak more curious. He searched hidden records, old data files from thousands of years ago. Most were erased or blocked. But in one forgotten file, he found a word that made his heart beat faster. Humans. He had never seen the name before. It didn't appear in school lessons, not even in the Empire's records of conquered species. But the word returned again and again, always connected to planet 342X. One sentence in an ancient language was barely readable. Do not wake the humans. Let them sleep. Let them be forgotten. Valak couldn't stop thinking about it. Who were the humans? Why did the Empire fear them? Were they monsters? Gods? Machines? He made a decision. Dangerous. Illegal. Foolish. He would go to planet 342X. Late one night, he stole a small stealth ship from the science bay. The ship had no weapons, only scans and cameras. It flew silently, invisible to the Empire's sensors. The journey took 6 days through dark space. The closer he got, the colder the ship became. Not temperature, feeling. As if something old and angry washed from the stars. Finally, he reached the edge of a dying star system. Planet 342X stood in silence. It was gray, broken, and lifeless. Huge cracks ran across its surface like scars. No trees, no oceans, just dust and stone. Valak landed on a rocky field. He stepped out in his suit and looked around. The wind didn't blow. The sky didn't move. Time itself felt frozen. But there was something else. Far away, half buried under stone, he saw the top of a tall tower. It was not natural. It was metal. It was built. Valak walked for hours until he reached it. He stood before the old structure. Strange writing covered the walls. Not in any language the Empire used. But one word stood out. Earth. He touched the door. It slid open with a hiss of air that had not moved in thousands of years. Inside, everything was dark, silent, cold. He walked through hallways filled with old machines and empty screens. Dust covered everything. But something felt. Asleep. Not dead. Just waiting. In the center of the building, he found a round chamber. In the middle was a strange chair surrounded by screens and tubes. Inside it lay a figure. A tall, pale being with short black hair. Its face was calm. Eyes closed. Chest not moving. Valak stepped closer. The being wore armor made of strange metal. A symbol shined on the chest. A blue globe wrapped in stars. Valak leaned in. The being looked human. Impossible, he whispered. You're extinct. You're. Suddenly, A soft sound echoed. A light blinked on the screen. Then a voice, cold and calm. Signal received. Human protocol initiated. Awakening process started. Valak froze. The human's fingers twitched. The chamber lights turned red. Somewhere deep under the planet, engines powered up. Satellites opened their eyes after sleeping for millennia. Valak backed away. No, I didn't mean. The voice spoke again. Welcome back, Commander Riven Kane. Earth Defense System is now online. Valak ran toward the door, but it sealed shut. The last thing he saw was the human's eyes, slowly opening. They were not peaceful. They were angry. Valak stood frozen inside the chamber. The human in the chair, Commander Riven Kane, was waking up after thousands of years. His eyes were fully open now. They were sharp, cold, and filled with something Valak couldn't understand, but feared deeply. The lights around the chamber turned red. Sirens started flashing. A robotic voice echoed. Earth Defense Protocol activated. Human command restored. Valak's heart pounded. He tried to open the door, but it was locked tight. The air in the room grew heavy. Riven Kane slowly sat up. His armor made a soft mechanical sound as he moved. He looked straight at Valak. You're not human, Kane said in a low, calm voice. What year is it? Valak stuttered. I don't know your time system. It's the 918th cycle of the Galactic Empire. Kane frowned. Empire? What empire? Valak swallowed hard. The Galactic Empire rules the galaxy now. Your species, it was thought to be extinct. Kane stood up. He was tall and powerful. His armor hummed softly. His boots hit the metal floor with solid thuds. Extinct, he repeated. They really believe that. Valak nodded quickly. Yes, no one speaks of humans anymore. Your planet, this planet, is forbidden. No one is allowed to land here. I didn't know you were still alive. I swear. Kane walked over to a nearby console. He placed his hand on the panel. The screen blinked. A holographic map of the galaxy appeared. Kane's face turned hard. The systems are all wrong. Borders have shifted. Earth's network is mostly offline. He turned to Valak. What did your empire do to us? Valak shook his head. I don't know. The records are gone. Erased. The empire never told us what happened here. They only said to stay away. Kane stared at the map. His jaw tightened. Typical. They couldn't kill us. So they buried us. Behind him, old machines came to life. Lights turned green. Power returned to the underground base. The ground above trembled. Far across the stars, hidden satellites blinked for the first time in thousands of years. Old war systems connected. Messages were sent. Human command reactivated. Earth Core Defense online. Stand by for instructions. Kane looked at the screen again. Status of Earth. Another voice responded, soft and mechanical. Earth is in cryo lockdown. Surface uninhabitable. Final war left the planet damaged but stable. Civilian population, 0. Military status, 1 active commander. 1, Kane whispered. Only me. Valak took a step back. Are you going to attack the Empire? Kane turned slowly toward him. His eyes showed no mercy. Did they show us mercy? Valak's voice shook. I don't know. I wasn't there. Kane paused. Something in Valak's voice made him think. You're not military, Kane said. You're a scientist. Yes, Valak said quickly. I study dead worlds. I only came here because I was curious. Kane stepped closer. Then understand this, scientist. Earth doesn't forget. We remember everything. We remember betrayal. Valak's eyes widened. Betrayal. Kane nodded. The Empire was once an ally. We shared technology. We saved their colonies from extinction. And when they grew stronger, they turned on us. He tapped a button. A video played. Blurry but real. Explosions, human ships falling, Earth cities burning. Screams. Valak looked away. They attacked us while we slept, Cain said. So we chose a different path. We put ourselves in cryo, not to hide, but to wait, for the right time. Valak whispered, and now? Cain looked around the chamber. Now the time has come. He gave a command. Activate long-range scan. Show me all active Empire fleets within sectors 7 to 19. A new hologram appeared. Ships, fleets, space stations, all belonging to the Empire. Cain smiled for the first time. It wasn't a kind smile. They think Earth is gone. Let's remind them who we are. Valak stepped back. You'll start a war. Cain turned to him. No, they did. Long ago. I'm just finishing it. Suddenly, a loud sound echoed outside. Valak looked up. What is that? A massive underground hangar door opened, sending dust into the air. A giant black warship began rising from the ground. Sleek, powerful, silent. Earth's warship. Its name flashed on the side. Oblivion's Edge. Cain stepped into a command lift. He looked at Valak one last time. History forgot us, he said, but history is about to remember. The lift rose toward the ship. Engines fired up. The ground shook. The sky above the silent world turned red. And across the galaxy, the Empire received a signal. Earth Command Online. Prepare for reckoning. The Empire's control center was deep in the heart of the capital world, Kareth Prime. It was a cold, silver tower that touched the clouds. Inside, thousands of officers worked in silence, scanning the galaxy for threats. That silence broke. An alarm rang. Red lights blinked across every screen. Unknown signal detected, shouted a technician. High Commander Traval turned sharply. From where? The officer replied, Origin, Planet 342X. Gasps filled the room. Another shouted, that world is forbidden. There should be no signals. But the signal wasn't just a message. It was a warning. It said only 3 words. We are back. Then the screen showed something that hadn't been seen in thousands of years. The Earth insignia. A blue planet wrapped in stars. Traval's hands trembled. He whispered, humans. Everyone froze. Most of the younger officers didn't even know what the word meant. But the older ones did. Their eyes were wide with fear. Traval turned to the Admiral of Defense. Prepare every fleet in sectors 9 through 14. I want the mere 342X. No one enters or leaves. But sir, one general asked, what if the humans really are back? Traval looked at him with fire in his eyes. Then we destroy them. Again. Far across the stars, the warship Oblivion's Edge rose from the silent world. Commander Riven Cain stood on the bridge, staring at the stars ahead. His ship was old, but powerful. Human technology from Earth's final age. Stronger than anything the Empire had ever built. Status? Cain asked. The ship's A responded. Weapons online. Shield stable. Cryo-cities remain underground. Earth core defense system is active. All systems at 84%. Cain nodded. Begin scanning old human colonies. Find survivors, signals, anything. Valak, the alien scientist, stood behind him. He had not been locked up. Cain let him stay. For now. Valak stared out the window. You're really going to attack the Empire? Cain didn't answer at first. He tapped a screen showing images from long ago. Human cities burning, soldiers falling, and Earth's surface shattered. Yes, he said quietly, but not blindly. First, we find out who still remembers us. The ship moved fast, faster than light. Its first destination, Argus III. Once, it was a thriving human colony, green fields, oceans, and large cities. Now, it was under Empire control, a mining planet. The humans were long gone, or so the Empire thought. As Oblivion's edge approached the planet, Empire radars lit up. Unidentified ship in orbit. An officer reported. It's not one of ours. Empire fighters flew up to intercept. Send a warning signal, Kane ordered. The message went out. This planet was once human. Leave now, or be removed. The Empire ships responded by firing. Missiles flew toward Kane's ship, but they never touched it. The Oblivion's edge blinked and was gone. In 1 second, it had vanished. Then it reappeared behind the Empire fleet. Before they could turn, Earth's ship fired one shot. A silent pulse of light. Every Empire ship in orbit exploded in silence. Valak watched in horror and awe. What kind of weapon is that? Kane answered calmly. Clean. Fast. Human. They landed on Argus III. Kane walked through the ruins of a once beautiful human city. Valak followed, scanning the ground. No signs of life, he said softly. But then Kane stopped. There, etched into the stone wall of a broken building, was a message, scratched by hand. They came. We hid. We wait. Kane's eyes narrowed. There were survivors. Valak turned to him. You're not just fighting the Empire. You're waking the ghosts of Earth. Kane didn't smile. Not ghosts, he said. Brothers and sisters. Soldiers. Builders. Survivors. They hid. Now they will rise. Suddenly, the ship's alarm rang. Empire fleet incoming. 12 ships. Heavy class. Kane walked back to the ship. Let's send a stronger message. He boarded the bridge. Target their engines. Don't kill unless they fire first. Valak was shocked. Why show mercy? Kane replied, because we're not monsters. We're humans. The Empire ships opened fire first. Earth's warship responded with precision. Every shot was perfect. It never missed. Within 5 minutes, 10 ships were disabled, floating in space. The last 2 jumped away, scared and broken. Kane turned to Valak. Now they'll talk. Now the Empire knows. Valak nodded slowly. You've just shaken a sleeping beast. Kane's voice was cold. No, I am the beast. And I just woke up. The news spread across the stars like wildfire. The humans have returned. On every Empire-controlled world, whispers turned into panic. The stories that were once treated like fairy tales had come alive again. Soldiers looked up at the sky with worry. Civilians remembered old warnings their grandparents once whispered. If you ever hear the name Earth, run. High Commander Traval stood before the Empire Council. The room was tall, cold, and filled with leaders from across the galaxy. Fear was in their eyes, though none dared speak it. Explain, one counselor demanded. How did a human warship destroy 12 of our best ships? Traval's voice was steady. The humans didn't destroy them all. They disabled 10. Only 2 were damaged. They could have killed all of them, but they didn't. Why not? Another asked. Traval's face grew tense. Because they wanted to send a message. The council fell silent. Then came the question no one wanted to ask. Can we defeat them again? Traval didn't answer right away. He looked down at his gloved hands, remembering the old war records. What the Empire had done. What the humans had endured. He finally said, no, not like before. Their weapons are too advanced. Their ship moved through space like it bent reality. Our best scanners couldn't track it. One counselor slammed the table. Then we must crush them before they gather more power. Another said, no, attacking them may wake even more. But if we wait, a third said, they will come for us, one by one. Traval raised a hand. Enough. I will handle this. He turned and left the chamber. Outside, he met with General Thorex, head of the Empire's Black Division, an elite force created long ago to study and stop human tech. They've awakened, Traval said. Are your hunters ready? General Thorex grinned. We've trained for this day. And we found something ancient. He showed Traval a strange device. It glowed blue. This was recovered from a dead human base. It was labeled Project Titan. We don't know what it does, but it pulses every time the warship moves. Traval stared at it. Then track it. Send your best assassins. I want that ship destroyed. Meanwhile, aboard the Oblivion's Edge, Commander Kane stood in the war room. A giant map showed hundreds of stars. Red dots marked Empire strongholds. Blue dots were the old human colonies. Many were gone. Some were lost. But a few were still out there. Begin activation of hidden Earth satellites, Kane ordered. Let's wake the rest of the grid. The AI responded. Activation in progress. Across the galaxy, long-forgotten machines lit up. Silent black cubes hidden inside moons and beneath oceans began to hum. Their signals connected. Earth's ancient network was returning. Kane looked over at Valak. You said your people never knew about us. But your leaders did. They erased us from history. Why? Valak shook his head. I think they feared you. The records say you were builders, thinkers, but also warriors. When you're pushed, you fight like no other. Kane didn't smile. You're right. We didn't want war. But when war came, we gave it everything. Suddenly, the alarms rang. Enemy ship approaching. One vessel. Small. Fast. Kane raised an eyebrow. That's not a fleet. That's a test. He looked at the screen. A strange black ship appeared outside. Sleek, deadly, and silent. Valak's eyes widened. That's not Empire standard. That's Black Division. Assassins. Kane nodded. They're sending their hunters. He tapped a control. Shields up. Let's see what they've got. The assassin ship vanished. Then, crash. A loud sound shook the hull. Infiltration detected, the AI warned. Enemy inside lower decks. Kane grabbed his weapon and moved fast. Valak followed behind, nervous. They'd reached the lower deck. Smoke filled the hallway. Lights blinked. Then, a figure stepped out of the shadows. Tall, armored, face covered. Human. The figure said coldly, You should have stayed buried. Kane aimed his weapon. Funny. I was about to say the same thing. The assassin moved fast, too fast. They fought in the narrow hallway. Blades and blasts filled the air. But Kane was stronger. He moved like a ghost, dodging every strike, hitting back with perfect precision. Finally, he disarmed the assassin and knocked him to the ground. Kane stood over him. Who sent you? The assassin coughed. The Empire. But they fear you now. Kane leaned close. Good. They should. Then he turned and walked away, leaving the broken assassin behind. Back on the bridge, he gave a new command. Prepare the next jump. Set course for Helios Station, one of Earth's last deep space colonies. Valak asked, Why there? Kane stared into the stars. Because if anyone remembers Earth, it's them. The journey to Helios Station was long and quiet. For Commander Kane, the silence gave him time to think. Earth was broken. Their cities, their colonies, all destroyed by the Empire. Yet, somewhere deep in space, the old human colonies had survived. They had hidden themselves away. And now, they were coming back, one by one. Helios Station was one of the oldest human deep space colonies. It had once been a hub of knowledge, technology, and culture. But after the fall of Earth, it had become a forgotten memory, another lost part of humanity's history. No one outside the human race knew it even existed anymore. As the Oblivion's Edge approached Helios, the station came into view, a massive structure, floating silently in the dark. Kane stood on the bridge, his eyes narrowed. Prepare to dock, and keep your weapons ready. I don't know what we'll find there. Valak stepped beside him, still nervous. You think any of the survivors are still here? I don't know, Kane replied. But if they are, They've been waiting for this day. For us. The ship docked with the station, and the airlock hissed open. Kane, Valak, and a small crew stepped onto the station, which was eerily quiet. The station's lights flickered. The control panels were dark. There were signs of damage, old wounds that had been left to rot over centuries. Kane activated his communicator. "This is Commander Kane of the Oblivion's Edge. We are here in search of survivors. If anyone is alive, respond." Silence. Then a voice echoed through the empty halls. "We hear you." Kane turned sharply, his hand on his weapon. The voice came from a dark corridor ahead. A figure stepped into the dim light. It was an old man, his hair and beard long and wild, his eyes tired but sharp. He wore the old uniform of the human space fleet, torn and faded from years of disuse. "Who are you?" Kane demanded. "I am Captain Merrick," the man said, his voice heavy with time. "We've been waiting for you, for a long time." "Waiting?" Valak asked. "For who?" "For the return of the humans," Captain Merrick replied. "We never gave up hope that Earth would rise again." Merrick led them through the station, explaining the long years of survival. He told them of the colony's desperate attempts to rebuild, to fight off the Empire's forces that occasionally swept through, trying to erase all traces of humanity. "We've been here," Merrick continued, "rebuilding, watching, waiting, for the day when someone from Earth would come back. And now, it's finally happening." Kane looked at Valak. "This is it. This is what we've been fighting for." But just as they were about to move forward, an alarm rang. Enemy ships detected, Imperial fleet approaching. Kane cursed under his breath. "Of course they are." Valak looked to Merrick. "You said you had weapons. Are they ready?" Merrick's eyes darkened. "We have old tech, but it's enough to make them regret coming." The station's hidden weapons systems were activated. Turrets rose from the walls. Missiles locked onto the Empire's ships as they entered the system. Kane was on the bridge, watching the chaos unfold. "We need to fight back," he said to Merrick. "Prepare everything. The Empire will stop at nothing to end us. They need to know they can't erase us again." Merrick nodded. "You're right. We've been living in the shadows for too long. It's time to strike back." He turned to his crew. "Activate the station's defense grid. Target the lead Empire ships." A massive blast of energy shot from the station, hitting the first of the enemy ships. The ship exploded in a flash of fire. The Empire fleet responded by launching their fighters, which zoomed towards the station. Kane grabbed his communicator. "Get ready for boarding parties. Protect the station's core at all costs. We cannot lose this place." Valak looked out the window, seeing Empire ships on all sides. "They're everywhere." But Kane didn't flinch. He was ready. The fight had begun. On the station's lower decks, the battle raged. Humans and Empire soldiers clashed in dark hallways. Old Earth weapons, modified to work with the station's systems, were used with deadly precision. Kane led a charge, his sword cutting through enemy soldiers. He was unstoppable, his movements swift and deadly. Valak followed, his alien strength tearing through the enemy's armor. Merrick was with them, his old fleet rifle steady in his hands, showing that the years of waiting hadn't weakened him. The station's defense systems kept the Empire at bay, but the fight was far from over. They knew that the Empire would come again, stronger, with more forces. And if the humans were to survive, they would need more than just Helios. They would need the power of every colony, every ship, and every human that had ever lived. As the last of the Empire's fighters were destroyed, Kane stood in the station's war room, looking at the wreckage outside. "We've won this battle," he said, "but the war is far from over." Merrick nodded. "The Empire will come again, but we've shown them that we're back. And this time, we're not going to run." Kane turned to face him, his eyes burning with resolve. "This is just the beginning. Earth has returned, and we will not be forgotten." The Helios station was damaged, but it still stood. Smoke rose from the corridors. Bird marks stained the metal walls. Medical units moved fast, carrying wounded fighters, both young and old. Some cried. Some were silent. But all were alive. Commander Kane stood in the main command room, staring at the stars outside. The first battle was over, but it had only awakened a sleeping giant. The Empire was angry. And now, it was coming. Valak walked in. His face was pale. "They're sending their real fleet now. I just received the transmission." Kane didn't blink. "How many?" Valak hesitated. "Over 300 warships. Their full war force. They're calling it the final sweep." Kane clenched his jaw. "They want to erase us for good." Across the galaxy, the Empire sent out a message. To all species, the planet once known as Earth, and all related colonies are to be destroyed. No human must remain. The news spread fast. Some alien races cheered. Others watched in silence. But a few started to feel fear. Because in the last battle, they had seen something they never expected. Humans had fought back, and they had won. In secret corners of the galaxy, old human outposts came alive. Hidden colonies that had vanished for centuries activated their signals. Abandoned warships, once floating dead in space, turned on their engines. Something was rising. The human race. Captain Merrick stood beside Kane. "I've sent out a beacon. The old human colonies will hear it. If they're still out there, they'll come." Kane nodded. "Then we fight with everything we've got." 3 days later, the sky above Hylia Station darkened. The Empire fleet had arrived. Giant battleships, massive cruisers, thousands of fighter drones. They covered the stars like a black cloud. On the station, alarms screamed. Valak looked up, terrified. "We're outnumbered, 10-1. Kane didn't move. "Doesn't matter. We hold the line." He turned to the crew. "Prepare for battle. Every cannon, every turret, every pilot, get ready." Then he looked at Merrick. "We delay them. We survive. Until help arrives." The battle began with fire. Empire ships fired plasma cannons, shaking the station. Explosions rocked the hull. Fighters swarmed like angry bees. But the humans were ready. Turrets fired back. Human fighters launched from hidden hangars. Traps set in deep space exploded under enemy ships. The station itself became a fortress. In the chaos, Kane fought like a warrior from old legends, sword in one hand, plasma rifle in the other. He cut through enemy soldiers with skill and fury. Valak fought too, not as a human, but as a friend. He had learned something important. Humans didn't just fight with weapons. They fought with heart. And they never gave up. But the Empire kept pushing. More ships, more fire. The station began to fall apart. Merrick looked at Kane. "If help doesn't come soon, we're finished." Kane stood silent. Then, a sound broke through the chaos. A deep, ancient voice across the radio. "This is Admiral Sarin of the Lost Armada. Earth's fire still burns. We have returned." Outside the window, dozens, no, hundreds, of ships jumped out of warp. Human warships, black and silver, armed with ancient weapons lost to time. They came from every corner of the galaxy. Colonies that had disappeared, fleets that had gone silent. Survivors, fighters, engineers, families. Humanity had returned, together. The new fleet charged the Empire with full force. Beams of energy sliced enemy ships in half. Missiles destroyed cruisers. Drones were jammed and crashed into each other. The Empire was not ready for this. They expected fear. They got fury. They expected a broken race. They got a united people. In space, the tide turned. Human ships circled the Empire fleet, tearing it apart piece by piece. The sky lit up with explosions. Inside Helios, Kane watched it all unfold. Valak stood beside him, whispering, "They're losing. The Empire is actually losing." Cain replied, voice calm and strong, "They thought we were gone. They thought their one rule would silence us forever. But waking us was their greatest mistake." By nightfall, the Empire fleet was destroyed. Only silence remained in the stars. The Empire had lost. Helios Station stood firm, and humanity had risen from the ashes. Later, Cain stood before a crowd of humans and allies on the station's main deck. He spoke clearly. "No more hiding. No more silence. We are human. We remember Earth. We remember the fire. And now, the galaxy will remember us." The crowd cheered. Even Valak smiled, standing proudly among them. As the stars glowed above them, one truth became clear. They thought the rule was simple: never wake the humans. But the moment they broke that rule, an empire fell. Months had passed since the fall of the Empire fleet. The galaxy had changed. News of the human return spread across star systems. Old empires trembled. New alliances formed. And everywhere, people asked the same question: who are the humans, really? On Helios Station, the repairs were nearly done. The battle scars remained, but the station was stronger than ever. New defenses, new power, and most importantly, new hope. Commander Cain stood by a large window, looking at the stars. He saw ships flying, some human, some alien, together. Beside him stood Valak, now wearing a new badge. Not as a visitor, not as a traitor, but as a friend of Earth. Valak asked quietly, "Do you think peace will last?" Cain didn't answer right away. He looked at the stars for a long time, then said, "Peace is never given. It's built, one truth at a time." Deep in the station, something special was happening. A group of young humans and aliens sat in a large hall, listening to stories. An old human soldier stood before them. "Long ago, Earth was destroyed. We lost our home, but we never lost who we are." He raised a small object, a piece of stone, black and burned. "This is from Earth's last mountain. We carry our past with us, and we share it now with you." The children watched, eyes wide. Aliens who once feared humans now taught their names with respect. Humanity had become a legend, but not everyone celebrated. In the dark corners of the galaxy, some rulers whispered, "If humans could return, what else is hidden out there?" A few empires tried to stay silent. Others began to prepare, in fear. One alien leader asked his advisor, "Should we ban human stories?" The advisor shook his head. "You can't stop stories, especially not human ones." And slowly, even those who once hated humans began to learn. Humans didn't want war. They wanted truth, respect, and peace with strength. Back on Helios, Cain walked through the station's garden dome. The garden was small, but growing. Trees from Earth, flowers, green grass under glass. For many, it was the first time they had seen life like this. A little alien girl walked up to Cain and offered him a flower. "Is this Earth?" she asked. Cain smiled. "It's a piece of it." She looked up. "I want to go there one day." He kneeled down. "Then help us build it again." In a private chamber, Cain sent out one last message across the stars. "This is Commander Cain. Earth may be gone, but humans are not. We are alive. We are many, and we remember. To those who fear us, understand us first. To those who fight us, be warned. We fight back harder. And to those who stand with us, welcome to a new galaxy." He turned off the mic and looked at Valak. Valak said, "What happens next?" Cain replied, "That's the best part. No one knows, but this time, we choose the path." Somewhere, in deep space, a small probe floated, carrying seeds and data. It landed on a lifeless moon. Inside it, a hologram activated, a smiling human child,